Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 4, Text 1. Sutta Uvacha Vayasakiriti Vachas Tattvanishchayam Atmanah Upadharya Matim Krishne Aureya Satim Vyadhat.
Hare Krishna. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna.
Text 2. Atmajaya Sutagara Pashudravina Bandhushu Rajya Chavakale Nityam Virudham Mamatam Jaho.
Maharaj Parikshit, as a result of his wonder-hearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep-rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends, his relatives, and his undisputed kingdom.
Text 3 and 4. Praparachche mamevartham yanmam prachatta sattamaha Krishnana bhava shravane shraddhano mahamanaha samstham vijnaya sannyasa karmatraye vargikam jayat vasudeva bhagavati atmabhavan tradam gataha.
O great sages, the great soul Maharaj Parikshit, constantly wrapped in thought of Lord Krishna, knowing well of his imminent death, renounced all sorts of fruitive activities, namely acts of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, and thus fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna, and asked all these questions exactly as you are asking me.
Text 5. Rajovacha samichanam vacho brahman sarvagnasya tvanagha tamo vishrayate mahyam hare kathayatah katham.
Maharaj Parikshit said, O learned Brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord.
Text 6. Bhuya eva vivitsami bhagavanatma mayaya yathedham shrajate vishvam durvibhavyam abhishwarah.
I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by his personal energies, create these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods.
Text 7. Yatha gopayati vibhur yatha samyacchate punah yam yam shakti mupashritya puru shakti parapuman atmanam kridhayan kridhan karoti vikaroti cha.
Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, engages his different energies and different expansion in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirit of a player.
Text 8. Nunam bhagavato brahman harer adbhuta karmanah durvibhavyam ivabhati kavibhishchapi cheshtitam.
O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proves insufficient for understanding them.
Text 9. Yatha gunamscha tu praktrater yugapat karmasho apiva bibharti bhurishastva ekah kurvan karmani jammabhihi.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, whether he alone acts with the mode of material nature or simultaneously expand in many forms or expands consecutively to direct the modes of nature.
Text 10. विचिचिष्टितम् एतन्मे भ्रवितु भगवान् यथा शब्दे ब्रह्मणि निष्णातः परं स्मिश्च भवान् खलु.
Kindly clear up all these doubtful inquiries, because you are not only vastly learned in the Vedic literatures and self-realized in transcendence, but are also a great devotee of the Lord and are therefore as good as the personality of Godhead.
Text 11. Sutta uvacha Itya upamantrito rajna gunanukathane harehe Rishikesham manusmritya prativaktum prachakrame.
Sutta Goswami said, when Sukdeva Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly he spoke thus.
Text 12. Shri Shuka uvacha Namaha parasme purushaya भूयसे सद अभव स्थान निरोध लीलया ग्रहित शक्ति तृतयाय देहिनाम अंतर्भवायानुपलकस्य वर्तमने.
Sukdev Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, for the creation of the material world, accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable.
Text 13. भूयो नमः सद्व्रजीने चिदे सताम् असम्भावयाखिल सत्त्वमूर्तये पुंसां पुनः पारमहंस्य आश्रमे व्यवस्थितानाम् अनुमृग्य दासुषे.
I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distress and the destroyer of the further advanced in atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations.
Text 14.
Hare Krishna
Namo
Mataji, Dandavat
Hare.
Pranam. So this 14 and 15 are today's text, no? Can I recite them? Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Because I'll be reciting them as part of the session also.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Vamsi Dhari Das. I'll be facilitating today's session. So before beginning to recite the prayers and discussing reading purports and discussing the session, let us just offer our prayers to the previous spiritual masters. And if we've already done it, let me recite it, and you all can listen or say, speak it with them. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishram Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्थस्थो है भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् वासुदेवे भगवती भक्तियोग प्रयोजितः ज्ञानतीयशु वैराग्यं ज्ञानं चेत् अहेतुकं यस्यं वै श्रूयमाणानं कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पाद्यते पुंसः शोकमोहभय अपः। Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So reading today's verses. नमो नमः ते अस्तु ऋषभाय सात्वतां विदुरकास्थाय मुहुकुयोगिनां निरस्तसां यातिशयेन राधसा स्वधाम्नि ब्रह्मणि रमस्यते नमः। Mataji, if you can open this verse, please. Text 14. Click on the. Oh, there is no way to open it, is it?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Would you like to share the screen, or do you want me to do it?
Oh,
I've made you host now.
you made me host. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Any punishment, take it. Any punishment, take it.
This will stop other screen sharing. Okay, continue. This is desktop 2, desktop 3. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, synonyms. Nama namate. Let me offer my obeisances unto you. Astu are Rishabhaya, unto the great associate, Satvatam of the members of the Yadur dynasty, Vidura Kasthaya, one who is far from mundane wranglers, Muhu always, Kuyoginam of the non-devotees, Nirasta vanquished, Samya equal status, Atishayena by greatness, Radhasa by opulence, Swadhamni in his own abode, Brahmani in the spiritual sky, Ramasyate enjoys. Namaha, I do bow down. Translation by His Divine Grace. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and the spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. Purport. There are two sides of the transcendental manifestations of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. For the pure devotees, he is the constant companion, as in the case of his becoming one of the family members of the Yadu dynasty, or his becoming the friend of Arjuna, or his becoming associate neighbor of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, as the son of Nanda Yashoda, the friend of Sudama, Sri Dama, and Madhumangal, or the lovers of damsels of Brajabhumi, etc. This is the part of his personal features. And by his impersonal feature, he expands the rays of the Brahmajyoti, which is limitless and all-pervasive. Part of this all-pervasive Brahmajyoti, which is compared to the sun rays, is covered by the darkness of Mahat Tattva. and this insignificant part is known as the material world. In this material world, there are innumerable universes like the one we experience, and in each of them, there are hundreds of thousands of planets like the one we are inhabiting. The mundaners are more or less captivated by the unlimited expansions of the rays of the Lord, but the devotees are concerned more with his personal form from which everything is emanating. Janmadhyasya yataha. As the sun rays are concentrated in the sun dish, the Brahmajyoti is concentrated in the Golok Vrindavan, the topmost spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. The immeasurable spiritual sky is full of spiritual planets named Vaikunthas, far beyond the material sky. The mundaners have insufficient information of even the mundane sky. So, what can they think of the spiritual sky? Therefore, the mundaners are always far, far away from him. Even if in the future they are able to manufacture some machine whose speed may be accelerated to the velocity of wind or mind, the mundaners will still be unable to imagine reaching the planets in the spiritual sky. So the Lord and his residential abode will always remain a myth or a mysterious problem. But for the devotees, the Lord will always be available as an associate. In the spiritual sky, his opulence is immeasurable. The Lord resides in all the spiritual planets, the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, by expanding his plenary portions along with his liberated devotee associates. But the impersonalists who want to merge in the existence of the Lord are allowed to merge as one of the spiritual sparks of the Brahma Jyoti. They have no qualifications for becoming the associates of the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planets or in the supreme planet Golok Vrindavan, described in the Bhagavad Gita as Madhama, and here in this verse as Swadhama of the Lord. This Madhama or Swadhama is
Prabhuji,
described.
can you please share the screen? We can't see the screen.
Okay, thank you for mentioning. I asked in the beginning if you could see
Yeah.
my screen, and everyone said they could.
Prabhu, we can see your screen, like name, but not the. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I've almost finished half the prayer, but my apologies. Thank you for interrupting, Mataji. In the spiritual sky, his opulence is immeasurable. The Lord resides in all the spiritual planets, the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, by expanding his plenary portions along with his liberated devotee associates. But the impersonalists who want to merge in the existence of the Lord are allowed to merge as one of the spiritual sparks of the Brahma Jyoti. They have no qualifications for becoming associates of the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planet or in the supreme planet Golok Vrindavan, described in the Bhagavad Gita as Madhama, and here in this verse as Swadhama of the Lord. This Madhama or Swadhama is described in the Bhagavad Gita as follows. Na tad bhashyate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. The Lord Swadham does not require any sunlight or moonlight or electricity for illumination. That dham or place is supreme, and whoever goes there never comes back to this material world. The Vaikuntha planets and the Golok Vrindavan planet are all self-illuminating, and the rays scattered by those Swadhama of the Lord constitute the existence of the Brahma Jyoti, as further confirmed in the Vedas like Mundaka Upanishad 2.2.10, Katha Upanishad 2.2.15, and Swatara Upanishad 6.14. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto ayam magnihi tam eva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. In the Swadham of the Lord, there is no need of sun, moon, or stars for illumination, nor is there a need of electricity. So, what to speak of ignited lamps? On the other hand, it is because those planets are self illuminating that all effulgence has become possible. And whatever there is that is dazzling is due to the reflection of that Swadham. One who is dazzled by the effulgence of the impersonal Brahma Jyoti cannot know the personal transcendence. Therefore, in the Ishopanishad 15, it is prayed that the Lord shift his dazzling effulgence so that the devotee can see the real reality. It is spoken thus. Hiranyamayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tattvam pushan apavruну satyadharmaya drishyate. O Lord, you are the maintainer of everything, both material and spiritual, and everything flourishes by your mercy. Your devotional service or bhakti yoga is the actual principle of religion, Satya Dharma, and I am engaged in that service. So kindly protect me by showing your real face. Please therefore remove the veil of your Brahmajyoti rays so that I can see your form of eternal bliss and knowledge. So we'll all go next to the next verse and also read the next verse. Verse 15. Yat kirtanam, yat smaranam, yat ikshanam, yat vandanam, yat shravanam, yat arhanam, lokasya sadhyo vidunoti kalmasham, tasmai subhadra shravase namo nama. Yat whose kirtanam, glorification, yat whose smaranam, remembrances, yat whose ikshanam, audience, yat whose vandanam, prayers, yat whose shravanam, hearing about, yat whose arhanam, worshipping, lokasya, of all people, sadhyaha, forthwith, vidhunoti, specifically cleanses, kalmasham, effects of sins, tasmai, unto him, subhadra, all auspicious, shravase, one who is heard, namaha, my due obeisances, namaha, again and again, translation by his divine grace. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Shri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrance, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer. Purport. The sublime form of religious performances to free oneself from all reactions of sins is suggested herein by the greatest authority, Sri Shukdev Goswami. Kirtanam, or glorifying the Lord, can be performed in very many ways, such as remembering, visiting temples to see the deity, offering prayers in front of the Lord, and hearing recitations of glorification of the Lord mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Kirtanam can be performed by both by singing the glories of the Lord in accompaniment with melodious music and by recitation of the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. That which we are doing now. That is also Kirtanam. The devotees need not be disappointed in the physical absence of the Lord. Though they may think of not being associated with him, the devotional process of chanting, hearing, remembering, etc., either all or some of them or even one of them can give us the desired result of associating with the Lord by discharging the transcendental loving service of the Lord in the above manner. Even the very sound of the holy name of Lord Krishna or Rama can at once surcharge the atmosphere spiritually. We must know definitely that the Lord is present wherever such pure devotion, pure transcendental service is performed, and thus the performer of the offenseless Kirtanam has positive association with the Lord. Similarly, remembrance and prayers can also give us the desired result if they are properly done under expert guidance. One should not concoct forms of devotional service. One may worship the form of the Lord in a temple, or one may impersonally offer the Lord devotional prayers in a mosque or a church. One is sure to get free from the reactions of the sins, provided one is very careful about not committing sins willingly in expectation of getting free from the reactions of worshipping, by worshipping in the temple or by offering prayers in the church. This mentality of committing sins willfully on the strength of the devotional service is called Namo Bala Yasyahi Papa Buddhihi. And it is the greatest offense in the discharge of devotional service. Hearing, therefore, is essential in order to keep oneself strictly on the guard against such pitfalls of the sins. And in order to give special stress to the hearing process, the Goswami invokes all auspicious fortune in this matter. So I seek blessings from all of you, all the assembled devotees, so that I can speak something in the line of disciplic succession, and so that it is purifying to my own heart and hopefully enlightening for you all to hear. So here the very last sentence, and in order to give special trust to the hearing process, the Goswami invokes all auspicious fortune in this matter. So to give this context, Goswami is the Shukdev Goswami, and before this chapter begins, Parikshit Maharaj, he basically concentrates his mind and meditates on the Supreme Lord, and he basically, starts inquiring, asking questions. So this is the paddhati, or the process, or the way in which one should ask questions, is by meditating first on the Supreme Lord and developing that genuine connection with the Supreme Lord and asking with sincerity and detachment. When someone asks question in that mood, then that question has the deepest impact. If there is some sincerity and there is this detachment. The reason I mentioned detachment is because by this time Parikshit Maharaj, he had forgotten everything about his favorite elephant, horses, son, wife, house, and everything else. And in that mood, he starts to ask questions to Shukdev Goswami, and Shukdev Goswami can sense the mood of Parikshit Maharaj. And before Shukdev Goswami can start speaking, and before Parikshit Maharaj actually starts hearing, Shukdev Goswami also remembers the Supreme Lord, and he's offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. So the verse 15th, 14, which we were reading before, he is glorifying the Supreme Lord. He's praying to the Supreme Lord. He's mentioning that, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He's a supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds. Yet he enjoys in his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. The Supreme Lord is called Asamurdhva. That is, no one is equal to or greater than him. So in this way, he is offering prayers, and here Prabhupada goes in quite a lot of depth explaining the spiritual world, which I think most of you are aware and in details. So I will not touch in depth about any of these topics, because spiritual worlds, I think that's the source of all the illumination in the world. It all comes from Krishna in the Golok Vrindavan. The spiritual planets are illuminated, and in this illumination somewhere is this Mahat Tattva, wherein lies all the material worlds, universes, and within the material universes there are unlimited planets. This same thing is, Prabhupada mentions that those who are impersonalists, they want to go into this Brahma Jyoti, and you can find very typical impersonalists who want to merge into Brahma Jyotis in Brahma Kumaris. They are very typically focused on these. They focus on the Jyot, or the flame, and they want to merge in this. So they use the entire Bhagavatam that we have. They might not call it Bhagavatam, they might refer to it, but the content is exactly the same. And they want to become peaceful living creatures, but their whole purpose of changing Bhagavatam, or is to basically merge into Brahma Jyoti so that everything can be peaceful. But this is not the case with us, because we understand that behind the Brahma Jyoti actually is the Supreme Lord, and therefore devotee always praise to the Supreme Lord, that Lord, please shift your dazzling effulgence so that the devotee can see the real identity. This is also mentioned in Ishopanishad. Also, when Lord Ramchandra was leaving this planet, the verse in Bhagavatam, it says that Smaratam Hridi Vinyasya Vidhama Dandaka Kantake Swapad Pallavam Ramam Atma Jyotir Agat Tatha. Now, if an impersonalist hears this verse, they'll say, oh, the Supreme Lord Ram, he entered his Jyoti, and it's very important to, if someone hears this verse, they have to understand that Atma Jyotir Agat Tatha. Agat literally means entered. The words are not used for merging. The word literally means entered. So the Supreme Lord basically, when he left the dark worlds, which is material worlds, earthly planet, on which also he was very effulgent, but it literally means that the Supreme Lord has gone back to his abode. He's entered his own abode. That doesn't mean he has entered or merged into Brahmajyoti. But the way the impersonalists would read and find great joy in reading it is that they will think, oh, the Supreme Lord entered this Brahmajyoti. It's called Atma Jyoti in this case. So therefore, as devotees, we have to be very careful in reading Sanskrit, in understanding Sanskrit, and sticking to what Prabhupada has, in depth mentioned. So beyond this, I won't discuss any further on this. But if you have any questions, you may ask after we finish the verse 15th. So following further, Shukdev Goswami, he's glorified the Lord, that he is the owner of the whole creation, and he's beyond. He's the same one personality who expands into many planets, and also controls the three modes of material nature. But he's the same one personality. And then he goes on to further pray to the Lord and says, therefore let me offer my respectful obeisances to all auspicious Lord Shri Krishna. Sanskrit word is Yat Kirtanam, Yat Smaranam, Yat Ikshanam. Can anyone tell me what Ikshanam means? Here you will find the word audience. What does this mean? Anyone? No? Please keep this interactive, otherwise everyone will sleep. Bhagavatam is supposed to be very lively.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
It says audience. So is it
Yes.
those who have gathered there to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam?
No.
No.
Hearing is the process of Shravanam. You all must have read this, no? So
Hmm.
you must be having question. What does Ikshanam means?
Sorry, Prabhu, I've got no idea.
No problem. Mataji, I'm very grateful you made an attempt, and you're very courageous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anyone else? This word is very important word. The reason is that it's repeated everywhere by the topmost Mahajans. This word literally, Prabhupada has used the word audience, but it means to see. It means to see the Supreme Lord. Darshan, literally, darshan, Ikshanam means to take darshan or to see the Lord. And the audience is also a very apt word, because audience also means the same. When you go and take the darshan of the Lord, you have the audience of the Lord, which means the Lord is looking at you. It's a very beautiful way of putting it, that when you visit temple, you are not just going to see the Lord is also seeing to you, which means you have the audience of the Lord. So here, Shukdev Goswami is mentioning that, if you do any of these, then what happens is that all the effects of sins, they are at once cleansed by just hearing and worshipping, by following any of these processes. Now, you all hearing this verse, you all immediately must be, the verse coming to you must be from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj pastime. Anyone remembers the verse? What does Prahlad Maharaj says about these things which are mentioned here? No one knows?
Prabhu, is it like he
Is
said
it?
7 process of devotional service?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Do
Yes.
you remember what he says?
I know it's about 7 process of devotional services.
Yes.
I don't know more than that. I'm sorry. It's like
So,
Shravanam, Kirtanam,
very good.
Smaranam,
Very good.
Padasevanam,
Yes, you're saying it all.
Vandanam, Archanam, all those things. Yeah.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's
Hare
Shravanam,
Krishna.
Kirtanam, Vishnu
Hmm.
Smaranam, Padasevayam, Archanam,
Yes.
Vandanam, Dasyam,
Yes.
Sakyam, Atmanivedanam.
Atmanivedam. After that, what
Um,
does he say after that? Everyone
I forgot
remembers
about
this. Everyone remembers this, but no one remembers what he says after that.
Okay, Prabhuji, please you tell us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Marji. Thank you so much for remembering these 9 processes. So he says that that these 9 processes, they have to be performed directly. Kriyeta bhaktir adha. That these processes, they have to be done adha, which means directly, which means anyone on the street, anyone anywhere, they can do these 9 processes directly with the Supreme Lord. They need not have any permission from anyone. They do not seek guidance from someone. It's their inherent nature, it's their inherent right to do all of these processes, or even some of these processes, or even one of these processes directly to the Supreme Lord. Adha is the word used, directly to the Supreme Lord. Now, it's important to also understand Prabhupada in this purport, he specifically mentions about one of the offenses, in chanting the holy names of the Lord. And so let's go through some of these things. This Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam, Shravanam, Arhanam. Arhanam means worshipping the Supreme Lord. So Kirtanam, Smaranam and Shravanam means hearing about the Lord. Sometimes, you hear about the Lord, and sometimes you hear about the Lord from his pure devotees. The more purer the devotees, the more better hearing you will have. But sometimes the Lord speaks directly. And this happens whenever the devotees in the upper planetary systems have trouble. They reach out to Brahma, and you must have heard it. Brahma reaches out to the milk ocean, and then suddenly there is some voice. In one case where Hiranyakashipu was torturing the demigods and the whole world very much, then they all reached out to the milk ocean, and then what happened? Tesam avir bhudvani, Vani, voice of the Supreme Lord. Arupa Meghaniswana. From the clouds, there was someone who had no form, but whose Vani was coming out. Sanadayanti Kakubaha Sadhunam Abhayankaraha. Sanadayanti Kakub. This sound of the Supreme Lord, it goes in all directions. When the Supreme Lord speak, all the directions resound. They tremble sometimes, and they sometimes resound. And what happens because of this? Sadhunam Abhayankara. Those who are devotees of the Lord, they become fearless. They become abhay. And you will generally notice this when you put Prabhupada's tapes, when you go to the temple, when some kirtan is going on, sung by pure devotees. Prabhupada, if you listen to this early in the morning when you wake up, suddenly you become so peaceful. There is no qualms, there is no tension, nothing, because there is such a fearless state that exists in your heart, because the sound vibration is directly the sound vibration of transcendence, Divyam, of the Supreme Lord or of the pure devotee. And therefore, such sound vibration, such Shravanam, it is called, it pierces the via medium. So the pure devotee might not be in existence. The pure devotee might be 500 years ago, the pure devotee might have come. But the sound vibration, because they are the direct sound representation of the Supreme Lord, they will pierce the heart of the people who are coming after millions of years. So that's why Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Sanskrit verses of the Supreme Lord, the words of Shukdev Goswami, the words of Parikshit Maharaj, they can pierce our heart, and they can force us to become fearless, force us to transform, force us to develop good qualities, provided we hear from them. Because Shukdev Goswami is also remembering the Supreme Lord just now in this verse also, so that his sound vibration, that whatever he's about to speak becomes powerful, changing, enlightening, purifying for Parikshit Maharaj. So this is the power of hearing properly from a pure source or from the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord himself says, after the sound comes, the sound says that, okay, do not fear, O demigods, ma bhahishta vibhuda shreshta, sarvesham bhadramastuva. He just blesses them. Every time the Lord sound someone hears, it's a blessing for the living entity. Mad darshanam hi bhutanam. He says, anyone who takes my darshan, visiting the temple, what to speak of the pujaris who are serving the Lord every day. Mad darshanam hi bhutanam sarva shreya upapattate. which means you will get all success in your life. Shreya, not prayer. Shreya, which means the ultimate success of your life, you will be able to attain if you simply take the darshan of the Lord or hear the sound vibration of the Lord. So therefore, these things are very important, is to hear of the Lord, having the sound vibration, to see the Lord. Ikshanam. Prahlad Maharaj last instruction is to see Yat Sarvatra Tad Ikshanam. Go. So he says that the real benefit, so the swartha of a living entity is to actually see Govinda in everything, in everyone. So basically, he says that Yat Sarvatra Tad Ikshanam. See Govinda in everything. If you can do that, then that is the perfection of the human life. So Ikshanam, and then Smaranam, that to remember the Supreme Lord all the time. Kirtanam, all of you know about Kirtanam. So Prabhupada here says that one should not, there should not be this mentality of committing sins willfully on the strength of the devotional service. It's called Namo Balad Yassahi Papa Buddhihi, and it is the greatest offense in the discharge of devotional service. So one should not be doing any of these processes and thinking that because I am chanting this holy name of the Lord and therefore I can commit some sinful activities. That should not happen. Can anyone give me example of when this happened in Bhagavatam? If anyone has, I know most of you have read Srimad Bhagavatam many times. Anyone remembers when this happens in Srimad Bhagavatam? Committing sins willfully on the strength of the discharging of the devotional service. Not necessarily chanting the holy name, but also, other things. Being a devotee of the Lord, praying to the Lord, Vandanam, Arhanam, Ikshanam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Is it Indra?
Yes. When?
Indra, there's a lot of instances that Indra have committed sins. Like
Which instance specifically glorifies and is directly related to this aparadh? Namo balad yassahi papa buddhihi. Which instance of Indra's pastimes?
is it when he was stealing the sacrificial horse of
No.
Prithu Maharaj? No?
No. No.
When he was serving, when he was serving Diti?
When he was serving Diti, that
Yeah,
time he committed mental offense, but that was to a person. He was not doing any devotional service. This is in relation to pure devotional process, the 9 process of devotional service. Someone commits sinful activities on the strength of the following the 9 process of devotional service, not just chanting the holy name.
Oh, is it Durvasa Muni?
Durvas Muni, yes, Durvas Muni is definitely there, but you mentioned Indra, and Indra is a very good example. But you have to tell me which pastime.
Indra got so many pastimes that he has committed offenses, I
So
remember
if you read of pastime, if you read of any pastime, or if you hear of any pastime, and if you don't know the sum and substance and essence of that pastime, then that means as good as not reading or not hearing the pastime. The perfection of reading something is remembrance of that thing. And if you can't remember, then that means you haven't read it, you haven't observed. The reading is a process of not just reading, assimilation, and then mananam and kirtanam. But before mananam also you have to, these 5 elements of remembering something has to be there. And this balad yasya hi papa buddhi, this is in Indra's very specific pastime. It's a very prominent pastime actually. So on the yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Is it when he disrespect his spiritual master?
Disrespected? Yes, he was definitely, when he disrespected, he was puffed up. That time he was not performing these devotional aspects.
Prabhuji, is it when he cut off the head of his pujari? The pujari was doing the yagna for him.
Pujari Vishwarupa?
Yeah.
Yes, that is definitely one. Yes, Mataji. I need something more directly attached to this offense. Because when he first killed Vishwarupa, at that time, you know, he didn't willfully kill it. He didn't willfully, he was like he was in rage because of wrong act committed by Vishwarupa. Who he killed after Vishwarupa? So after Vishwarupa, who was actually the son of Twasta Muni, I think Twasta. Then Twasta Muni created a demon by the name Britrasur. Now it comes to the memory. So when Britrasur,
He was fighting with Vitrasura.
correct. When Britrasur was created, he was a Brahman. He was a demon, but he was a Brahman. And so when Britrasur was created and he created a lot of havoc, then all the demigods, they came, and the Rishi Munis, the best of the Rishi Munis, they came to Indra and they told him, look, why kill this Britrasur immediately? And now Indra already had killed a Brahmana, which was Vishwarupa, and because of that, he got a lot of sins. But because women, land, trees were all favorable and water were favorable to Indra, therefore he distributed whatever his sins he got to women, land, and so, you know, some portion of the land is desert on earth. And then the trees, you know, I think the trees can't walk or something. And in water, the sins reside when you eat bubbly water. So all the drinks, you know, Fanta, Limca, they are all bubbly water, sparkling water. So if you see any air bubbles inside water, that's a sinful water. And similarly, there is something to do with women, which I don't exactly remember, so I don't want to say it. But essentially,
it's sorry, Prabhuji,
yes,
I may be wrong, but that's why women have menstruation.
menstruation. Yes, you're right,
Yeah.
Mataji. You're right. Thank you so much. So these are so first time he killed a Brahmana, he got this, but first time killing of Brahmana, when he killed, he was in a rage because the Brahmana had done something wrong and deceitful. This time he was again asked by demigods to kill a Brahman, although a demon, but you know, he was still a Brahman, and Indra knew that there is a huge sin that occurs when someone kills a Brahmana. So Indra was very, very reluctant. And he also knew that this Vritrasur, after he started the battle with Vritrasur, he realized immediately that Vritrasur is not an ordinary demon. He is actually a Vaishnav. And this Indra says himself in the verses that it is very surprising that those demons who are supposed to be in the mode of passion, you are actually transcendental, you are divya, you are not even in the mode of passion or goodness, you are beyond, you're speaking something very high. So Indra knew immediately that Vritrasur was not just a Brahman, he was a Vaishnav. Now, in spite of all of that, you know, the Rishi Munis, the sages, they told Indra that don't worry, we will do a yagya for you. We'll do Ashwamedh yagya, and we will please the Supreme Lord Narayan. And if the Supreme Lord Narayan is pleased, then you can kill the whole creation. There will be no offense on you. You can kill anyone, there will be no offense. And so, you know, don't worry, we will solve your problem. You just kill this Vritrasur who has created havoc in the whole creation. And so, even though he was extremely reluctant, Indra killed Vritrasur with this extreme reluctance. And what happened? Indra was not spared, because this time he killed a Brahmana willingly. Willfully, he committed an offense, and his reaction was extremely dangerous. You know, a very old lady started following him, and the description of the lady is very fearsome. And Indra was running everywhere. None of these sadhu munis who had promised to save because lotus stem, you know, that Man Sarovar, I think, Manasa Sarovar, where Lakshmi ji protects that Sarovar. Therefore, these sinful reactions couldn't reach there. But because he was inside this river, he couldn't get his share of relief or food, you know. So, fire Agni Dev, he had to come and give him his share of food. But because Agni Dev can't enter water, Indra was just starving for 1,000 years. And after 1,000 years of intense tapasya, he was able to, by mercy of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi ji, he was able to get rid of his sins. And then he came out. And then all these Rishi Munis who had promised him to protect him. Then they did Ashwamedh Yagya and they vanquished all his sins completely from the root. So basic essence of saying all of this is that one should not commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy names of the Lord or on the strength of performing any other devotional practice. Another important thing I want to also mention very briefly, we are running 6 minutes out of time, is that um, that the best example of doing all of these activities, who is the best example? Kirtanam, Smaranam, Ikshanam, Vandanam. What verse comes to your mind when you actually hear these? Two verses come to your mind. One verse is what someone already mentioned, which Prahlad Maharaj had said, 9 process of devotional service. There is one more verse which basically tells you about the application of these things. Again, said by the most exalted Vaishnav, almost like Prahlad Maharaj. Anyone?
Is it Prabhuji Hare?
Yes. Yes, Mataji. Who is it?
Is it
Hare
Ambarish
Ranam,
Maharaj?
Hare Ranam.
Someone said Ambarish Maharaj?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Maharaj. It is Ambarish Maharaj. Do you know the verse?
I don't know the verse, Prabhuji.
You don't know the verse? Savai Manaha Krishna Padara Vindayor Bachamsi Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane Karo Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Shrutim Chakara Achyuta Sat Kathodaye Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho Tatpad. So basically, he is utilized every single sense that he had in his body, sum and substance. That with his ears he was hearing, with his hand he was wiping the floors of the temple, with his legs he was going to the holy places. His only desire, kamam tu dase na tu kama kamyaya. Only his desire was to become servant of the Lord's devotees. And other than that, no other kam vasna he had. And yatha uttama shloka ganashraya ratihi. So basically, he also always wanted to associate with the best of the devotees. So he always wanted to associate with pure devotees like that. So here Ambarish Maharaj, he basically represents this verse also. And Ambarish Maharaj, for Ambarish Maharaj, the Supreme Lord is saying that ye dara gara putrapta pranam vittam imam param hitva mam sharanam yata kathamstam saktum utsahe. So when Durvas Muni had offended and Durvas Muni reached to the Supreme Lord is telling that ye dara gara putrapta, that this person, Ambarish Maharaj, to whom you are trying to kill, this person has left his wife, this person has left his home. This person has left his putra, he's left all of his wealth. Pranam vittam imam param. That even the prana, he has left even his prana. And not just that, he's given up all of his wealth. All of these things are param. Pran and vittam are all param. Then he says, how can I give up such a person? Hitvamam sharanam yata, who has come completely under my shelter. Kathamstyam taktum utsai. How do I tyakta? How do I do tyag? Give up such a person with enthusiasm. It's not possible. And the Supreme Lord says this of Ambarish Maharaj, who on the physical terms, to the naked eyes, he had not left his wife. He had not left his children. He was a king. He was an administrator. He was taking charge of the whole creation. For him, the Supreme Lord has said this verse. So someone who actually engages all of his life in these 9 processes of devotional service becomes extremely dear to the Supreme Lord. And Ambarish Maharaj, even before going, even Ambarish Maharaj, who had already fully engaged in the devotional service, when he reached his so-called 50 years of his age, he didn't continue to stay at home. He basically, even Ambarish Maharaj, he said to meditate more. Vanam Viveshatmani Vasudeve Mano Dadat Dhvasta Guna Pravaha. So he basically gave all the responsibilities to his sons, and then Vanam Viveshatmani, he entered Viveshatmani Vasudeve. For what he entered Vanam? To remember the Supreme Lord even further. And through his mind, he wanted to remember the Supreme Lord even further. So it's such a such a powerful thing that even devotees like Ambrish Maharaj, they, even though they are completely perfect in what they're doing, nonetheless, they also give up the household life at a certain age, and then they engage completely fully in the memory, remembrance of the Supreme Lord and the service of the Supreme Lord. And the same thing was told by Prahlad Maharaj to his father, that, look, don't be in this Andhakupam. Now you are, 50 years, and Prabhupada mentions this 50 years of age again and again in Srimad Bhagavatam, everywhere. And when you reach this age, your ability to do these things, these 9 processes should increase more and more. With that, I'll stop. Please forgive me if I've said something out of context, if I've said something wrong, if I've offended someone. Please, if you have any corrections or questions or suggestions, do we have time, Jyoti Mataji? Jyoti Mataji is not here, I think. She's on mute. Hare Krishna. Okay, I think she started the session and she disappeared. So we'll take the luxury because she's not here, just for 5 minutes. If you have any questions or suggestions or corrections, please unmute yourself and you may ask. Okay, I don't think anyone has any questions. So thank you so much all for your kind association and giving me this opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam and discuss it with you all. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for that
Prabhuji.
explanation.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Vachakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Namo Namaha.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice class.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Krishna Bhagavatam.